Well, let's start with just a basic question. Is it really true that little girls just about everywhere are interested in princesses?
It seems to be that way, doesn't it? And Disney is just doing a great job with commercializing all these fairy tales that have been around for centuries in Western literature and Western society. But yes, the fascination seems quite innate in little girls.
You've lived in a lot of different places around the world. Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Singapore, the United States, just to name some.
Right.
Have you observed the same phenomenon in those other places?
I think it's particularly pronounced in the United States. But yes, I think that in many cultures, girls have this fantasy of being a little princess and of being taken care of and whisked away to happiness.
So what was the little spark that went on in your head as a writer when you observed this and started thinking about it? What did it make you want to do?
Well, it was actually inspired by my niece. I have a niece, Tegan, who's now 11 years old. And she went through, she's very independent, very bright little girl, but she went through a Disney princess phase as well. And I'm not so keen on the message that fairy tales, give young girls. It's basically be pretty, be beautiful, sit around, wait for a prince, he will come, he'll whisk you away, and happy ever after will come because the prince comes, not because you do anything. And so I saw that she started to tire of it quite quickly, and I said to her, but do you know that there are real princesses out there who did really fantastic things in history? And she didn't know, but she was very interested. So I took her to bookstores, we went to the library together, and we really couldn't find any of these biographies. So I decided, as I'm a children's author, that I should write them, and that's how the series came about.
And you actually dug in and did extensive research, right?
I spent 3 months in the British Library, which was pretty close to heaven for me, but yeah, I had a great time doing the research. And I'm a history buff from way back, but I didn't know enough about any of the particular princesses to write any of their stories in full. And I also didn't know enough princesses. In the research, we found a lot of princesses, some very, very little-known ones, that have great stories that need telling.
Give me just an example of one princess whose story you found compelling.
Well, I found the story of a princess called Kutluk Turkan Khatun. That's an easy name to say. And she's a Persian princess. She was apparently so beautiful that she was kidnapped several times for her beauty. So her story starts off very, very much like the Arabian Nights or a fairy tale. And then she ends up with a prince who doesn't just love her and shares his life with her, but he also shares his state with her. He actually invites her to govern with him. And she governs so well that when he dies 16 years later, the people actually get together and petition for her to remain as their sovereign, which is a completely novel and unheard of thing. There were princes in the wings waiting to take over this throne, and yet the people wanted this woman in a Muslim society to stay on the throne and govern them. And she did do that for another 20-something years. But the great thing about her story is that if you ask now in that part of the world, they still remember her reign as their golden age because they were so prosperous during it. But they remember her primarily for her compassion because she was kind. So I think that there's a beautiful story there where it's not the beauty. Beauty is good enough, and she had it. It's not the beauty. It's not even the wisdom that she demonstrably had. It's the fact that she was very, very kind and very compassionate. And when she died, in fact, they found that she had taken out all her clothes and arranged them into piles and got them ready to be given away after she passed away. So even in her last moments, she was thinking about her people.
One of your interests that is broader than any particular story is the whole idea of getting young girls interested in reading. In fact, you've created your own publishing house to that end. What do you find works? What is it that gets girls and boys at a young age interested in reading?
I think that they have to have a good experience. You know, they have to have fun. And then when they realize that it's fun, they get on the bandwagon themselves. And so with these books, especially because I'm such a history fan myself, I think a lot of children think that, oh, you know, nonfiction can't be fun. It must be like a textbook. It must be like an encyclopedia. The whole idea of these books and the way they're designed with lots of different visuals, we use illustrations, we use photographs, we use, you know, we keep the main part of the story very much told in a storytelling voice, but then we have lots of captions and sidebars where we can add really fun little factoids and added information. The whole idea is that this first experience of reading nonfiction should be really fun, because when kids have fun, they want to come back and do it again.
When you were a young reader, what kind of books sparked your imagination?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough question. I read so many books. I don't know that I can answer that really.
Favorite book, favorite character, favorite topic?
Well, you know, like I said, I was a history buff from very young, and I remember reading this book. It was called People in History, that my mom bought me just when I was starting to read, move out of picture books into chapter books. And that absolutely spawned a whole lifetime of reading, and now of writing too. So I'm hoping that this will happen again for the next generation through these books.
With your help, it will. All right, we're all set. Terrific. Thank you so much. It's great to have you here.
It was great to be here.